Hi, this is Steve from LZ23 Strength, where we exert ourselves, we elevate our health, and we evolve in our mind and body. Here to talk to you today about influencer videos in the health span and longevity realm, where things that aren't always discussed or talked about, and maybe you even thought of some of these things along the way. One of the first things that I think it's important to know is that as you get more enthusiastic and excited about health span and longevity, you might find out that you're kind of on an island. Your family, even your spouse, close friends, workmates might not feel as enthusiastic about it. In fact, you might get a lot of eye rolls every time you bring something up, whether it's something about sleep or working out or some new nutritional supplement, some biohack, whatever the case might be. You're not going to get applause or congratulations or a good job or go get it. You're going to get sometimes judged. Again, the eye rolls. And there's a number of reasons I think that might happen. Sometimes people, if they're not doing it themselves, they might feel bad that this person might be trying to get healthier than they plan to. Maybe they don't want to get healthy. Maybe they don't want to stop drinking or smoking or going to bed at a reasonable time. Maybe they don't want to work out. So when you're trying to do some positive, good things, you might get a little pushback from people that you're kind of surprised. You might say, I watched this great video, and for somebody else, it's not that exciting, and they might, again, roll their eyes at you. So it's good to know that as you're getting into these things, you have to do it for yourself. Hopefully it can spill over and you can influence family and friends, but ultimately each one of us has to make our own decision when it comes to our health and health span, longevity. So it's kind of a personal thing that you do, and you hope that others will respond in a good way, but you can't go into it expecting that others are going to, and can't get discouraged, even if they sometimes might say something negative when it comes to that. Now, for me, I consider myself a health span enthusiast. I'm not a doctor, not a scientist, not a coach, not an expert, but I am enthusiastic about health span and longevity, and I enjoy watching podcasts and all kinds of news that comes out in all these areas, a lot of individuals that I appreciate, and it keeps me motivated to try. And that's another aspect that we're going to talk about in this video, is that you're going to see a lot of things, hear a lot of things. They're not all easy to do. It's follow through can be hard. So you have to be able to live with that and pace yourself when it comes to learning new things. I have a video that's out that talks about the 4 pillars of health span. They're foundational pillars that really should be the essence of what we're trying to do on a daily basis. But then there's many other things that, and if we have time, energy, money, that it's good, go for it, hack away. But it's important to realize that we can't do everything we want. I want to give you one example. Morning routines are very popular in the videos nowadays, and you'll find people putting out videos purely just on their morning routine. And people that are even interviewed on podcasts, that's one of the things that host will ask them, so tell us about your morning routine. So I've gotten enthusiastic about it, and I've many times meticulously wrote down what I'd like to do and a time. Sometimes they're 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, a half hour. But I have yet to been able to follow through on a regular basis to carry out these things. One of the reasons, which I'll get into deeply in another video, is for the last 30 plus years, I'd have to say I was probably sleep deprived. Working out has always been number one for me since a young age, probably since about 12, 13. And the morning is the ideal time, especially as I got older, had a family, had kids. Getting up early in the morning was the time. I didn't want to come home from work and say, hey, I'm going to work out for an hour, see you later. So I would do it in the morning before everybody's awake. And there wasn't a lot of information back then for getting good sleep. So I'd say for 30 plus years, I was living anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of sleep. 6 would be a good thing, but a lot of times probably 4 or 5 hours. And now that I know how important sleep is, I've tried to adjust that, where my workout routine was primarily Monday through Friday. Now I try to do that 3 days a week during the week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I also try to do Sunday at home, and sometimes Saturday as well. So I've tried to adjust where I can get more sleep, realizing how critical that sleep is. So that's just one example that if I'm going to get up in the morning trying to get proper sleep, there's not a lot of time between getting up, having a workout, getting to work. I'm hoping once I retire that I can get all of this in order properly and even elevate my sleep to a high level and have a nice morning routine where I can incorporate biohacks and other things, from breathing to stretching exercises to whatever it is that I had jotted down before, stuff to take care of my face, which I'm sure you guys are. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and you'll say, yeah, you should work on your face, buddy. Don't be mean. Anyways, so moving forward, that's an important aspect, that we can't do everything that we want to do. Not to mention that sometimes they're expensive too. The 4 pillars that are talked about in another video are not expensive generally. There can be cost to it, but there's always a time cost. So when I talk about expenses, we're talking about biohacks and things that I'd like to do, like red light therapy. I have a small one I try to incorporate, but I would like to get a cap, because as I used to have thick hair growing up and most of my life, now it's not. And it's kind of disappearing in some places. And the science out there, I kind of believe it. I haven't done an enormous amount of research, but what I've done is many people believe that it can have an effect on hair growth, and at least not losing what you have, maybe growing a little bit, but they're pretty expensive. So I haven't purchased one yet, but down the road, that's what I'd like to do to work on the hair. Then there's also skincare, and there's many expensive products out there to work on your face, and that's another area I didn't know much about most of my life. I think most men don't give it much attention, but I like being in the sun, which is a healthy thing. But I probably overdid it most of my life of being out in the sun. Never been good with moisturizers or just simple washing that you do every day. I think guys, hopefully I'm not the only strange one out there, but guys, I don't think put a lot of attention on that. And I think I've paid the price. And it's between being sleep deprived, a lot of sun, not caring for the skin properly, it's caught up, and I'm hoping to slow it down or help it out a little. But again, these things take time and money. I have skincare products, but to do them every single day, again, it's not super high on the list. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty worn out with life in general, and might not get to them. Things like brushing your teeth. Dental hygiene is critical for good health and health span and longevity, and just keeping up with that can be a chore too. Flossing. So there's so many things that can play into the picture, so to speak, to be able to be healthy and incorporate things, the time and cost. And I don't think these are talked about in a lot of videos. I mean, there's some compliance that's talked about a little bit, but I think there's many people who give up. They might watch some of these things and they feel overwhelmed. Like, I'm supposed to do this and this, I'm supposed to work out this much, I'm supposed to eat this and sleep this many hours, and it's like they throw their hands up. And certainly we don't want to do that, because we never give up. We keep fighting. Even when it comes to exercising, that's the number one excuse that people have for not exercising, is that they don't have time. And many people, it's true, families and obligations, work, they might not have a lot of time. Something I've mentioned in previous videos, I believe, and I think it's a cool thing. I heard Dr. Rhonda Patrick, if you've ever heard of her, use the term exercise snack. I'm not sure if she coined it, but I've heard it on her podcast numerous times, and I think it's a cool thing where maybe you don't have a half an hour to work out frequently, but throughout the day, can you take a few minutes and do 20 push-ups and 20 air squats or 20 burpees? You have a kettlebell or some dumbbells that you could do some curls or kettlebell swings. Just incorporating a little at a time what you can do, call them exercise snacks. Try to put your heart into it when you do it, but it doesn't take an enormous amount of time. And that's a great supplement for every day. And it's scientifically backed that it has a good effect and can have an impact on your physical well-being and your health. So try to incorporate exercise snacks. Supplements are another area, but there's so many that are touted as breakthroughs or that are going to move the needle, so to speak, when it comes to our health span. But I'm sure if you've looked into them at all, they're pretty pricey. And sometimes when I mentioned at the beginning that your family or your spouse might not be on board, my spouse isn't always on board when, I bought this new supplement, or I want to try this new supplement and see the price. So that's another aspect that's rarely discussed. The time factor and the financial factor in trying to have a healthy health span, or having a long health span and longevity. It's not always discussed, but it's a real thing. And why I'm talking about it for you folks is I don't want you to get discouraged. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. The key is to keep doing what we can. And again, going back to the 4 pillars, please watch that video about the 4 pillars and concentrate on those. And then as we move forward, there's little things we can do. One more example I'll give you in regard to time is, along with health span, being a health span enthusiast, I'm also a music enthusiast. I play guitar, and I used to play guitar a lot. Over the last 10, 15 years, I've hardly played at all, very minimal, and I'm trying to get back into it. I'm very rusty, but I love it. But again, the time factor, when you're trying to take care of the health span part and you're trying to incorporate all these different things, to say that I don't have time wouldn't be totally true, but when I have time, it's usually at the end of the day or at the end of the week. And honestly, I don't have the will, or I have the desire, but not the will to go sit down and then play guitar. Kind of the recliner and the remote control win the game 90+% of the time. Other things too, I'd like to read more. Again, same thing. To use the brain, it's a challenge. But reading is definitely a healthy thing cognitively, but the time and energy to do it is definitely a factor. So again, not giving a pass to underachieve. That's never my point, but never want anybody to feel guilty or overwhelmed that they're going to throw their hands up and say, well, what's the point? So remember, it's not an all or nothing. Everything you do it's kind of like an example I saw this past week about wealth. I think it was $32,000 a year put somebody in the top 1% in the world, if that's correct. I didn't research it to make sure that's it, but I know it's not a huge number, and with 8 billion people on the planet, that having just a regular type of living can elevate somebody in that way. Well, the same thing with health. If you're trying to incorporate all these things, even if you don't do them perfectly, even if you're not doing it the way you think you should or you want to, you are so far ahead of the majority of people who are sedentary or who don't feel it's even worth the effort to do some of these things. So just wanted to put that out there for you, to encourage you to be a health span enthusiast, to keep working at it, setting goals little by little. You have a good week, you have a bad week. Well, next week, try to have a good week again. Incorporate the exercise snacks to do what you can and keep moving forward, because that's what we do. We keep striving, and it's going to benefit us. It's beneficial each and every day, and our older self will thank us as we look back on it. So never give up, and make sure you keep exerting yourself, elevate your health, and evolve your mind and body. And I appreciate you watching. I encourage you to leave any comments, hit the like button, and please subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.